Hi everyone, this is Sandra. Welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, this video is about journals. This is actually my bullet journal collection, and by that I don't mean used bullet journals. I'm talking about all of the bullet journals I have yet to use. So of course, being a YouTuber, being an artist, I have lots of extra supplies. I purchased these a long time ago over the course of the last 2-3 years, and some of them are fairly expensive, some of them are relatively cheap. And what I want to do today isn't a comparison video in so much that I'm going to be, writing in the journals and doing a water test or a pen test, nothing like that. I won't be talking about specifics like whether they all have the back pocket in the bullet journal or, the pen loop or something like that. However, to date, since before using any of my new bullet journals, my favorite bullet journal has been the Scribbles That Matter. So when they were very popular, they first kind of came out, I bought tons of them, and I believe I've used 2 of them so far. I think I had a red cover, and then the one I'm currently in is a very light blue color. So now when I talk about the rest of these journals, I'm going to be talking about them pretty much in comparison to the Scribbles That Matter, so the original, not the ones that come in the cover folios nowadays, and also in compared to the Leuchtturm 1917, because especially the Leuchtturm, that was kind of a familiar one for a lot of people starting out in the bullet journal world, and it was one of the ones easily accessible, so you could find it at Indigo, you could find it on Amazon. So as the bullet journal community has grown bigger, things are more established now, and more companies are coming out with new journals. So I just want to talk about some of the journals I have, and this isn't a review video. It is not, like I said, not a specific showing you the differences in the journals. A little bit, I'm going to do a lot of talking, basically. So I have my trusty Aquafina Plus vitamin water, strawberry kiwi, it's my favorite. And I'll be doing a lot of talking, so just bear with me. And I hope this video is going to be a favorite for a lot of you, whether you're new to bullet journaling or whether you've been doing this for a long time. Maybe some of these bullet journals are new to you, because some of them are new to me. I've come across them on Amazon, but I haven't actually used a lot of them yet. But just as someone who collects journals and who knows what a journal is all about, and I know a lot about paper, as soon as you touch it and feel it and look at it. So let's get started. So basically, I'm going to talk about the Scribbles That Matter and the Leuchtturm first, only because they have been the most popular. I have a whole bunch of different colors here, and I had other ones. Like I had a silver, I've got the bronze, I had a black, tons of different colors, and I've used a whole bunch already. So they are tucked away in Rubbermaid containers in my basement, the used ones. And the newest ones are obviously these ones wrapped in plastic. So this is one that I've purchased recently because before I started looking at all of the other ones on Amazon, I actually wanted to use this as my next journal. So it was the very pale pink Leuchtturm 1917. So some of these are 249 pages and some of them are 251. So and also keep in mind that when bullet journaling became popular, Leuchtturm 1917 decided to come out with an actual official bullet journal. So all it really did was add it. I think it added an index in the front, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a couple of added features that when you're looking for a bullet journal, they wanted to make it as official as they could. So those details don't really affect me. To be completely honest, in a bullet journal, the index, which a lot of notebooks have nowadays, I don't really use the index. I use it, I write it down, but I never refer to it. The most common thing I do if I want to mark a page is use the bookmark that comes in the journal, or I washi tape a corner of the page to get so I know which page I'm on. These ones are all bullet journals before the official bullet journal by Leuchtturm. So again, all of these notebooks, I can't say they're all A5 size because some of the new ones are not. They are a little bit different, but the one thing that I notice about the Leuchtturm, so generally when you're talking about a bullet journal notebook, they usually come with 2 bookmarks. That seems to be the standard, if you could call it that. And they also come with an elastic closure. And generally, they do come with a pocket at the back of the notebook. So those are like the basic general features of a bullet journal notebook that I guess I kind of expect, because Scribbles That Matter and Leuchtturm have kind of set the standard, so to speak. So in this one, obviously you have room for your name and address. Here there is an index or a content page, and you do get 3 of those pages, and then you have a blank page, and then it jumps into your dot grid. So generally the other thing that I look for is, and this is one that I've done my washi tape in, so I just didn't want to crack open the new plastic on my new ones. And this one I will be using as a bullet journal. I just decided to use it for washi tape. But generally there are 5mm grid spacing. So if you were to measure that with a ruler, you'll see that it's 5mm. And this paper, I believe it's 80 GSM. Let's just double check on here. 80G/M squared, but it's GSM. So it just stands for the paper thickness. And I don't know if it actually stands for the paper smoothness, but the one thing I can say about the Leuchtturm is that the paper is steadfast. So when you write on it, it's supposed to not smear as easy as other paper, which you can kind of feel because it's a little gritty. So there are some bullet journals I'll talk about where the paper is super smooth, and that is a feature that I like because I do use my nice brush pens in my bullet journals. So mind you, that is not a good enough reason to keep me from using a Leuchtturm. It's still fine. It's not the best quality of paper, but it's still pretty good. So the most noticeable thing though is that the pages are very cream colored. So if you're looking for a bright white notebook, this is not it. The other thing I like about it, and over the last few bullet journals, I've been kind of hemming and hawing about this basically because the paper is 80 GSM, it's fairly thin. So there's some pens that will bleed through, and this paper ghosts very easily. So if you write on it, you can see on the other side what you've written. So you have to be careful. For instance, if you use, I think it's the Marby Le Pen black fine liner, if you use that in here, it ghosts, and eventually over time it turns green, because I've seen that. I don't even know if it honestly matters what bullet journal paper you use, that pen turns green once it's ghosted. So it's pretty much, and that's where you need to kind of play around with your pens, find your favorite pen, find your favorite paper that you like to write in, and go from there. And sometimes it's a learning curve, to be completely honest. So I like this. It is thin paper, and I think Cindy Gunther-Baldo said this once too, that the reason she preferred the thinner paper and she picked a Leuchtturm 1917 over an Archer and Olive is because she liked the feel of the lived-in paper. So she liked it, felt used, and I like that feeling too. I know exactly what she's talking about, because when I write in one of my line journals, I don't like when the paper is super thick and it feels like, yes, it feels really good quality, but it feels like you have it written on that page, and I like a nice written in page. So for me, these are one of my favorites, and I also appreciate that you can get them in so many different colors and that they are easily accessible, and they're relatively cheap. I believe they range about $26 to $30 on Amazon, and also the same price in Indigo. So I think right now you can get the berry color and the purple one on sale Indigo for $16.95 here in Canada, or at least here in Edmonton. So if that's something you want to try, go for it, because it's a pretty good price. It's $16.95 for a bullet journal. Out of the majority of these journals, these have the most pages. So 251 seems to be the amount of pages in a bullet journal that I've come across. There may be other ones I haven't used yet or looked at that have more pages. So moving on to my Scribbles That Matter. So I do have quite a few of these, and I've got some that came in plastic wrap, which I will not be opening. These are the colors that came in wrap. So I've got a brown, kind of like a tan color, a dark purple, a light pink, and a dark pink. So if I look at the front, the grid spacing is the same. It's 5 millimeters. And this paper, I believe it's 100 GSM. So as you will recall, Leuchtturm is 80 and this is 100. So it does have a key code page, 3 index pages, 213 number pages, 2 pen test pages, and of course it has a pen loop, an inner pocket, 2 bookmarks, and rounded corners. So that's the other thing, some people prefer are the rounded corners compared to really square corners on a notebook. And I personally prefer also like a hard notebook so that it doesn't get banged around when I put it in my bag or my purse. So this one does come with a purple closure, which is kind of nice, and a pink bookmark and a purple bookmark. So they'll come with different color bookmarks, which is kind of cool. And most journals do that. So the light pink has a dark pink elastic closure, and the same thing with the bookmarks. The purple one I kind of like because it's like a bright green. I like the contrast, and I love these journals. So I do have a lot of journals, and which is why I want to save these, because to date, these have been my favorite. And then I also have these ones that came, and I believe I ordered them on Amazon too, so I don't know why they're different, but they came in hard plastic cases. So I've got a light teal with a dark pink bookmark, or a closure, sorry, a dark teal, and this one has a yellow closure, a white with a black closure, and a purple with a dark purple closure. So if I were to open up this one here, which it looks like I've already kind of opened it, we're just going to take a look at it. So the paper is not bright white, but it is much whiter than the Leuchtturm. So if I were to lay these side by side, you can tell that this is quite a bit creamier, and the paper, I'd have to say that the Scribbles That Matter paper is definitely smoother. But remember that this, when you write on it, it's not supposed to smear as easy. And in my previous Scribbles That Matter completed journals, I do have a lot of smearing. And I don't really use gel pens. I guess I use black gel pens, but I have one, like the Pentel Energel is really good for not smearing. And you can go over it with a highlighter and it doesn't smear. So that is why I use that one. But this paper, I have to say, is probably my favorite because it's not as thick as the Archer and Olive, but yet it is a lot thicker, feels higher quality than the Leuchtturm. So every now and then, again, I like to switch it up. Those are probably like the two I've used the most. So we'll put those aside. So now basically the other notebooks I'm going to talk about will be in kind of comparison to those two types. There is one I have that I do not have here to show you, but it was the Peter Popper Press Essentials Notebook Bullet Journal. And basically I like it. It's a very, very good starter notebook, very inexpensive and very easy to find. You can find it on Amazon and it's really cheap. So I think it was like $10 or $15, but it doesn't have as much paper. And the paper is not very good quality. Like it's good enough if you're just going to use a black pen, but I wouldn't use my brush pens, especially my Tombos, in there a lot. But it was a very good, I think it was one of my first ones I tried to practice in, and it was very good for a beginner notebook. So that one is highly recommended. As you know, if you've watched my previous actual journal, like my Peter Popper Press journal collection, they have some of my favorite lined journals. And like, I can't get enough of them. They are amazing. So if you ever want to try that one out, it is called the Peter Popper Press Essential Dot Grid Matrix Notebook, I believe. And it's really, really cheap. The next type of notebook I want to talk about is the Archer and Olive. So this one has been very, very popular. When they first came out, that was kind of the intended goal, was to make the paper really thick so that you could use any kind of medium you want. Now, I did use one. I think it was a light purple one. And these ones, I could open them, but I don't want to rip the paper. The one thing I have to say is that paper is bright white, but the pages are not numbered. I don't believe it has the index. It doesn't have like the standard bullet journal features that you would look for, except for the pocket in the back and the enclosure. However, if you are one to, in your bullet journal, if you don't want to have ghosting or bleeding, this is a good journal. However, there are only so many pages because the pages are so thick. There's not as many pages as the Scribbles That Matter even. I did order 3 and to Canada. So each of these notebooks I think was like $35. So like in the USD. And then I also had to pay the duty on it, like the duty taxes or whatever. And I think I had to pay, my goodness, I think it was like an additional $30 or $40 for that. So it's very pricey to order to Canada. And I will not be ordering another one unless I have like this drastic change of heart and decide to use them again. And I might very well use them, but actually, I'll be completely honest with you guys. When I was first writing in my purple Archer and Olive, I think it was in September, I was doing my September theme and I was kind of first pregnant. So I found out I was pregnant in July or August. It was August, July. And in September, I had the worst sickness. Like I was so sick. I can't even call it morning sickness. I was just sick all the time. And I felt so nauseous. And I think that, like, you know, when you eat something and you get sick and you never want to eat that food again, believe it or not, I think that's actually what happened with the bullet journal. I was writing in it and I was sick all the time. So I could barely even look at it. I hated it. And also, because the paper is so thick, you don't get that written in feel. So if that doesn't bother you, these journals are amazing and I would totally recommend them, especially if you like to watercolor in them. However, for me, after using watercolor in mine, I did use my Tombow dual brush pen with water on top to do some blending. I won't do that again. If I'm going to do a watercolor project, as in my January watercolor in my Scribbles That Matter, which I'll link for you, that I'd prefer almost to do a watercolor piece on watercolor paper and then glue or tape it into my bullet journal. So going forward, I think that's what I'll do for April as well. But if you like to use heavy markers or if you're really heavy-handed, these are great. Just keep in mind that they are pretty pricey. And as for the Scribbles That Matter, these ones, again, I haven't looked at Amazon lately. And again, we're coming from Canada, so I order on Amazon.ca. I think they were $30 to $35 for the Scribbles That Matter. But then recently, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't find them anymore. And now they have like the blank cover. And then you pretty much insert it into like a traveler notebook cover type thing, if that makes sense. And so there's some people that love that and some people that don't like that. So that's kind of one of the options I feel like they took away. Like I feel like if they had like stayed with this and also released other types of journals, that would have been a good thing to do. But I mean, what can I say? Now we're going to get into completely different types of journals. So I guess I only have one repeat. I bought 2 of the same journal, there's a reason why, and I'm going to save that to the end. This journal here is an actual dot grid bullet journal notebook. This is from Indigo Paperblanks. And I did one last summer. I used one, which was a different color, different cover. And this journal is much larger than an A5 journal. So if I compare these side by side, you can see the difference right there. So it's larger. So when I first started using it, I had to get used to the grid spacing. And if you're doing like a weekly spread and you already have your grid spacing for your Scribbles That Matter or a low H term or an A5 size, you have to re-space everything if you get this journal. It does have an index, but it's just lined paper at the front. And then it gets right into your dot grid paper. So I personally really like this. It feels very much like the Scribbles That Matter, which is why I chose it. I liked it because it was bigger. I could make bigger spreads. It still has a pocket and it still has an elastic closure, but no pen loop. So the only thing that I have to say, because it's so big, my first one ripped, like the actual paper came out of the binding and it ripped. So by the end of the bullet journal, the thing was like kind of coming out, but it's because I used it so much. And I still like this, but I believe this one isn't available anymore, this cover, but I think it's the other one that's still available, and you can get it from indigo.ca or Indigo in the stores. But I really did enjoy this, and because I only have one left, I'm saving it, but I'm going to try to get my hands on a couple more of the other ones because I really did enjoy this paper. Again, you have to get used to the different sizing. But it does still come with bookmarks. However, it does come with 3 bookmarks, and I believe there's quite a few pages in here. Let's just see. This one has 236 pages. So the next journal is this Panda Natura A5 dot matrix journal. So this, I'd have to say, when I first look at it, reminds me of the Peter Popper Press Essential Dot Grid notebook. When I looked online, I could only find, I think it was it black and this teal color. I love this teal color. It is so pretty. And it's really, really cheap. I think I only paid under $20 for sure. It has 100 GSM paper. You open it up, has room for your name, but it doesn't have an index, so you go straight into your dot grid. And it looks like it's the same sizing as the other ones that I've already gone through. The pages are not numbered. So again, for an index, if you want to create your own index and number your own pages, if that's how you roll, then you can do it that way. If not, this does have 3 bookmarks, which is kind of nice. And it does have a pocket still. And so for, I think, again, another beginner notebook, this is really good because especially if you don't want to commit to a specific notebook, if you're not sure about it, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, especially if you don't know if you're going to be continuing the bullet journal process. So this is a good choice, and I'd have to say the paper is very similar. It's probably not as good as Scribbles That Matter, but it feels a little bit better than the Peter Popper Press Essentials Dot Grid notebook. And it is an A5. There are 196 pages. It lays flat. There is the pen loop, and it says acid-free paper. But for the most part, I think most of the journals that I'm going to be showing are acid-free paper, so I don't know if that's like an advertising feature for any notebook nowadays, because they all are. But this one is very nice, and it again is relatively cheap. But I do have to say, if I'm just looking and comparing it now, this looks very similar. Okay, so this is the Leuchtturm. It's even more yellow than the Leuchtturm paper. So if that's something that doesn't bother you, then this is a good choice. Okay, so another one is the Little More notebook. This notebook is actually smaller than an A5 size. It does have a pen loop, and it comes, I think it comes in black. It comes in this beautiful bright blue color and then this yellow color. I picked yellow because I thought it was perfect for summer. And this one's a little bit different, besides the fact that it is smaller than the A5 size. It has a key code. There are 4 pages. It has an index. There are 4 pages, and then it gets right into your dot grid. So right from the dot grid page, it's starting at page 14. And then at the back, the only thing I don't love about it is that it does seem to have quite a few blank pages. And I'm not fond of blank pages in my notebook. I'd rather have it all just dot grid, because then you can draw straight lines and such. So there's quite a few just blank pages back here, and then you've got some pages that they kind of look like business card size, you can rip out. And maybe it's for grocery lists, I don't know. But there is that. There's actually like quite a few pages too. And it does not have a pocket in the back, but it does have the pen loop. And it has an elastic closure, and it comes with how many bookmarks? 2. So this is an interesting size actually, because if this is an A5, this is how big it is in comparison. So it feels like it's wider only because it's so short. This would be good for me. I think if you were doing weekly spreads, it might be harder to try to lay out the whole week, unless of course you make everything smaller. But it still looks like it is 5 by 5, but the dots are pretty dark. So if that bothers you, that might be an issue. And as for the paper color, let's compare it to the Leuchtturm. It's brighter than the Leuchtturm, but the dots are darker. Paper quality feels very much like the Panda Natura. I think it's kind of cute. I wouldn't mind trying this out this summer. It's more portable for sure. I have a Teku Core notebook. And now this one, when I first got it, I thought this was very much, very, very similar to Scribbles That Matter. So it is an A5 size. It's 100 GSM, ivory paper, dot grid pages, and there's 192 pages. So the first thing I noticed is that the bookmark is huge. It's way thicker than any other bookmark I've ever seen. It does have ivory paper, has the name area. The pages are numbered, but there is no index or anything like that, so you'd have to create your own. But the paper feels very smooth. So to me, this feels exactly like a Scribbles That Matter, and it does come with the little folder at the back, but it does not have a pen loop, and it has 3 bookmarks. So I kind of like the pen loop. I don't know, at first that wasn't really a defining feature, but there are hacks on YouTube and I think even like Facebook that, you know, you can just make your own pen loop, so it's not a thing. Also, there was a trick I saw. If you don't mind this being stretched, you can take your elastic enclosure thing and just put it on the corner of the notebook, and then you can stick your pen right there. So if that doesn't bother you, you can do that as well. And I like the colors of these. I think I saw for sure, I think there was a dark red, there's a dark blue, and then this purple. And of course, my favorite color being purple, I had to get purple. So yeah, I think this is a good notebook choice as well. And as for the price, I think this one was $38. So it was probably the most expensive, if I'm not mistaken, based on price and the fact that it is the same as Scribbles That Matter. I probably would stick to a Leuchtturm or one of the other journals that I spoke about recently. I'm not sure if $38 is, you know, if it's worth it for this journal. Another purple journal. I've wanted to get my hands on a Rhodia dot grid notebook for a long time. I first came across the brand, I guess. I've talked about her before. I love watching her, and she uses the Rhodia notebooks. So I'm not sure if she uses this specific one, but there's also like a different notebook that you can find, but it's more expensive. And this one came in I think it was a teal or a blue, and then the purple. And they come in lots of different colors, but the ones available to me on Amazon was just, I think it was like cheaper shipping, was the purple. So the only thing I noticed, as soon as I pick it up, the cover is not hard. It's a soft cover, and it's very, very skinny. So there's not very many pages in here. But the one thing I like about Rhodia is that the paper is splendid. The paper is so smooth. It works amazing for your good brush pens. If you want good paper, get this notebook. What she does is she puts her journal in a cover, and I don't have access to covers where she gets them from because she's from England, I believe, but you can find one on Amazon that is an A5 size and just put it in there to protect your cover, because this will not last long if you were like me and, you know, stash your journal in your purse or your bag. So if you're really careful with it, of course, it'll probably last you longer. It does come with only 1 bookmark. It does have the elastic closure. I like it because it's a really pretty contrast with the purple. And it's 160 pages, so really not that many pages, which I think is why I was so shocked when I first got this journal. There's 80 dot grid sheets, 90 GSM ivory brushed vellum paper. So that's why it's so nice. This is 90 GSM paper. I think this is the only paper that I have that's 90 GSM. And like, I wish I could like let you feel it and touch it from here. It is the smoothest paper. It feels so good. So the other place where I found the Rhodia notebook paper was in Michael's, and I got a larger, I think it was a 9x12, and that's what I use for my brush pens when I'm doing my brush pen reviews and brush pen collection and color video type things, is that paper, because it's dot grid, so you can still keep straight lines, you can still kind of give yourself a grid to see that you're staying in a straight line, and it's very smooth, so it won't destroy your pens. And I like it because it comes in a notebook style, like a notepad style paper. But this, I am glad I have it because I wanted to try it out for such a long time. But yeah, definitely the fact that the cover is a soft cover, that bothers me because I don't have a protective cover that is this size. And it does still come with a pocket at the back. And also because for myself, like I know a lot of people like to have one journal that will last them the entire year, but I can go about 3 months per journal, and that's kind of how it takes me. So this one will probably last me even shorter. So that's kind of a thing that I would have an issue with. But again, it depends what you're looking for, because if you're looking for extra good quality paper, this paper is fabulous. We've got 2 more notebooks here, 2 or 3 more notebooks, but 2 types. So the second to last type I want to talk about is this Shine Bright journal. So this is the most recent journal that I got. It is definitely a hardcover journal. There are 3 other colors. There is a gold one and there is a white one, and they all have this like really pretty gold and silver metallic sparkly pattern on them. So it's called a productivity journal. It's got dotted pages, page numbers, table of contents. It comes with stickers, and it was fairly cheap. It says $15.95 US, but I think I paid $18 for it on Amazon. So there is room for your name. And of course, you've got your table of contents. There are 3 pages, I believe. So the first thing I look at this, first, I love this. It's got gold edging. I love that. A lot of my Peter Pepper Press journals have that, and that's just a feature that I already love about this journal. It does not have the pocket in the back. It does not have an elastic closure, but it does come with a bookmark or 2. Let me double check. 1 bookmark. So the first thing you'll notice, actually I noticed 2 things right away. First of all, the dot grid spacing is a lot smaller than the 5mm. If I could find a ruler here, if we were to measure these, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. It almost looks like 3.75, but I'm going to say 4. So it's 4 millimeters for each little square, and the paper is bright white. So this, it wouldn't screw someone like me up. Like when I do weeklies, I don't do weeklies where I have like a Saturday or Sunday to Saturday format, and that's it. I prefer to have like rolling dailies or just a daily per page type thing. And on my weekly, I actually include like a little event bar with my meal planning, my task list for that week, and grocery list, and like kind of a section for notes and next week type of thing. So I don't really specifically have like a specific grid spacing I use all the time. So for me, this journal is fine. But for some people who like to have the same grid spacing, it might mess you up a little bit. You'd have to recount, you know, how you would format your page when you go to write it out. So, but I didn't notice these stickers in the back. I don't even think I paid attention. And I mean, they're little planning, I guess, little check mark and arrow stickers, which is kind of cool. It's kind of nice that it comes with that, because I've never really seen any other journal come with that before. I think the only other journal that did was this, the Little More notebook. And I'll show you guys quickly. These are actually the stickers that this Little More notebook came with. So it comes with the monthly stickers, and then like these little ideas that you can use for spreads in your journal, which I thought was kind of cute. But again, for someone who likes to create their own work, you might not want to use these, but if that's something that you're interested in, this is kind of a cute notebook. Sorry for the little interruption there. But I like this because it feels thicker compared to an A5. Let's see. So it is about the same height, but it is wider than your average A5 size. So, but you know what? That doesn't really bother me. The paper quality feels like, honestly, it feels like it has a little bit of toothiness to it. So it feels almost like a Leuchtturm, where the pen that you use wouldn't smear. I don't know though, because we're not doing a pen test right now, but it feels like that. And it feels kind of like the quality between Scribbles That Matter and between Peter Piper Press Essentials Dot Grid Notebook. But I really like this, and this is again another very good journal choice. I basically have come to the last two journals, and I'm kind of excited for these because you guys, these I have to officially say are my new favorite journal, my favorite bullet journal. They are the Dingbats journal. So a lot of people have been talking about these. I remember having a conversation about the Scribbles That Matter, that they are going, like, they didn't make the original ones anymore, and a lot of people were turning to Dingbats. So I noticed them, and I know that they have two different variations. They've got the wildlife version, which I believe has all perforated pages, which you can rip out. And I've heard, I don't know because I don't have them, but I heard that they're not extremely easy to rip out, so it's not like you have to be afraid that they're all going to come out of your journal when you're using it. Personally, I don't like that. I like having pages that are not going to rip out at all. So I went ahead and got two of the Earth series. So these ones do have some perforated pages, but they are at the back of the notebook. So I'm just going to go through one, I think. I'll go through the orange one here. So I've already taken the cover off, the plastic that kind of shows all the details. It comes with an elastic closure. I like it because it's a good contrast, but I'm pretty sure they're all black on the color. And I love the colors available. Some of the colors are so pretty, you guys. So they talk about, in here they talk about the Serengeti National Park, all of the wildlife. You can put your name, and then it tells you what you can do. So you can create your key, you can color tabs. So literally they have like these little areas that you can color on the edge of the page, and you can color it so when you're looking at your notebook like this, you can actually see different colors. So you can kind of bookmark your way that way. And you can mark your pages. This is the tab key. Then you've got a color key, a dingbat key, then your index. So it gives you 3 pages for your index. Then it even gives you a future log, and you don't have to use it as a future log, but it gives you the ability because it basically marks it out for you to make it even on the page, which is actually a nice feature. So it's nice because it's not making you use it for that. You can use it for anything else if you wish. But of course, like most people have their future log right at the beginning. So I kind of like that. And you can do it up and down, or you can do it sideways. And it does give you 2 full spreads to do that. So if we're looking, there are 184 pages of dot grid. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but these back ones are perforated. And there's actually not that many pages that are. So you know what? I don't mind that. That doesn't bother me that much. And as long as they can't be ripped out really, really easily, that doesn't really bother me in the slightest. And I mean, there may be times when you want to rip out a page if you have a grocery list or a pen test page or something. So that makes sense to have it at the back. So if I were to compare the color of this paper to the Leuchtturm, okay, believe it or not, it's actually a little bit more cream colored than the Leuchtturm, which I'm surprised because the Leuchtturm I thought was very kind of yellow already, but it is a little bit more cream colored than that. So if that's something that bothers you, but I honestly think that when you are writing in your journal, you won't really notice it if you're not comparing it to anything else. But the other thing I can say for sure is that this paper, and the reason why it's one of my favorites, is because again, the paper is so smooth. If I were to take out the Rhodia notebook and compare it, it feels almost as smooth, if not smoother, than the Rhodia. Like, it is a nice paper, you guys. Yeah, it is smoother than the Rhodia paper. So if this one is 90 GSM, I believe, if I'm kind of comparing it, so again, this isn't like an official comparison, but it feels very much like 100 GSM paper. And I think, like, it's weird because if you're touching yeah, if this one's 90 and this one's 100, it makes sense. If you're touching a paper that's poor quality, but it's a little bit thicker, it's still going to feel different. Like, even if it was the same weight of paper, if the quality is better, it's still going to feel different. So it doesn't feel as firm as the Scribbles That Matter. I think the reason why I say that this is my favorite notebook to date, even over the Scribbles That Matter, is that the pricing, you know what, it is, I believe it was like $26. It was under $30. And I know you don't get as many pages, but the color selection, the way that the cover is, so it's a hardcover, but it looks like it's probably faux leather. It's not real leather because, I mean, they're supporting an earth collection. They're biodegradable. They're talking about animals and being supportive of wildlife all across the world. So even if it's faux leather, they made it look kind of like real leather, so it has that really nice high quality look and feel to it. And it doesn't look like cheap plastic. The paper is so nice. And it still has all of the features I personally love. And it comes with a little pamphlet. It shows all of the colors that you can get. And you can even get it in lined, square, and plain paper. There's the Wildlife Collection, it's their signature collection, and the Earth Collection is new. So the thing I like about the Earth Collection is it's a little bit more bullet journal friendly. Like I said, the pages cannot be ripped out. Well, they can be ripped out if you choose to rip them out, but they don't have the perforation. And I really, really like the paper. As for which one, this is the part I hate, because I honestly don't know which one I want to use for my next journal, and I'm gonna have to make my decision off camera. I wanted to make it right now, but I feel like there's so much pressure. So unfortunately, I won't be making a decision as to which one on camera. But if you guys are, like, if you haven't tried dingbats and you have been doing your bullet journaling for a long time, so you know it's something that you're going to stick with, you should try out this notebook. It is so nice. I'm so excited, actually. I'm just going to look at the size difference. It feels a bit bigger. So it's not an A5, it's actually a bit bigger than the Leuchtturm, which I'm surprised at. And I think maybe that's why I like it more. I don't know. Does that even make sense? I like it better. And it does still have the 5mm grid spacing. So yeah, I think this is like my new favorite, and I'm gonna get all of the colors. I don't know if I would get the Earth Collection, although that one does come in a purple. If you take a little browse on Amazon, you'll see like all the different color selections. Some of them are cheaper or more money depending on where they come from, like especially with the colors that you want. But I like this. So I think if I were to buy any more journals, which of course you guys know me, probably will, I wouldn't mind actually trying this one for summer. So because a journal lasts me 3 months, my next journal will get me through April, May, June, and then I'll have July, August, September pretty much. So I might keep this one for July, August, September, and then I'm gonna pick a spring colored one for the next couple months. And actually, I want to get away from that light purple or light blue, because I was gonna pick this one, but yeah, I want to get away from that and just do something different. So anyway, you guys, let me know what your thoughts are on this video. And I know, again, this wasn't a video about specifics about it. Like, I'm not talking about a pen test or how the paper actually is when you write on it, because for me, that's a personal decision. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about these journals in comparison to, you know, the basic ones that most people have. So let me know your thoughts on this, and what journal are you currently using? What's your favorite? And how many other people have this Dingbats journal? Because yeah, this is my new favorite. So in the meantime, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, please, if you're new here, I'd love if you subscribe to join our family, and don't forget to hit the bell notification so you won't miss any of my future videos. We'll talk to you guys all soon, and I will have my new bullet journal setup / migration video posted shortly, because I need to get that up before I can do my April spread. So we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye now.